Good afternoon all. Welcome back. In today's session, I am going to discuss about a concept on IP security policy. In the last session, we have seen that the IP security is a concept where you can apply the security aspects or the security services such as the authentication, confidentiality and key management to the already existing IP protocol, that means to the already existing IP packet. So, once we know about this IP security and what are the applications we have with the IP security, what are the benefits we have with the IP security, where we can install or where we can implement this IP security, let us discuss something related to this IP security policy. So, this IP security policy, the entire discussion what I am going to do now is entirely dependent on two important concepts or two important databases, we can say it as databases, that is SAD and SPD. SAD stands for Security Association Database, whereas the SPD stands for Security Policy Database. The entire IP security policy is determined primarily by the interaction between these two databases, that is the Security Association Database and the Security Policy Database. Before going to discussion on what these databases consist of, what are the entries that these databases consist of, let us have a general discussion on what this Security Association is. So, the Security Association is nothing but a logical connection. It is a logical connection between the sender and the receiver. Over which the communication takes place. So, you have the sender and you have the receiver, and there exists a physical connection. Physical connection is different from the logical connection. So, physical connection is a wire that directly connects from sender to receiver, or it can be a wireless connection. But here the security association is considered to be a logical connection. That means there does not exist any physical connection. We just assume that the sender and the receiver are connected with a logical connection in order to provide these security services such as the authentication, confidentiality and key management. In order to provide these three security services, we need to have a connection between the sender and the receiver, and that connection we are taking it as a logical connection, and that logical connection we are naming it as the security association. So, it is a very simple concept. If somebody asks you what is this security association, you can simply say that it is a logical connection between the sender and the receiver, and it is used to implement these security services such as the authentication, confidentiality and key management. We will see each of them with diagrammatical representations also. After having a look at this security association, we will discuss what are the various entries we have in this security association database and the security policy database. So, as I told that before the operation of IPsec, the concept of security policy is applied to each IP packet that transmits from a source to destination. That is the main purpose of IPsec. We are going to implement the security policies on the normal IP packets by making use of the IPsec. As I told that the IPsec policy is determined by the interaction of two databases, that is the Security Association database and the Security Policy database. You can see from this IPsec architecture, this is the sender side, let us assume that, and this is the receiver side. You can see here at this sending side, you have a database which is called as SAD, stands for Security Association database, and we have another database which is called as the SPD, stands for Security Policy database. And you can see that IPsec architecture is designed to have three important services, that is the authentication, confidentiality and the key exchange. For key exchange, there are separate entities, IKE version 2, in both the sender and the receiver. And for implementing the other two services such as the authentication and the confidentiality, we have two things, as we have discussed in the earlier session, that one is the authentication header and the second one is the ESP. ESP stands for encapsulating security payload. Authentication header is exclusively designed to provide the authentication service, whereas the ESP service, ESP is designed to provide the confidentiality as well as the authentication also. So for this reason, I told that the authentication header has been deprecated. We are not going to discuss about this authentication header. But ESP, since it provides both the confidentiality and the integrity, you can have one particular SA, that is the Security Association, for implementing this ESP. And for key management, I told that we are going to use the IKE. IKE stands for Internet Key Exchange. SA is the shortcut for Security Association. This is called as Security Association. You can see here that the Security Association is a logical connection between these two parties, that is the sender and the receiver. The Internet Key Exchange is having a separate Security Association, and the ESP also is having a Security Association. And you can see that these are two arrows, one is from the sender to receiver, this one, and another one is from receiver to sender. So by this diagram you can understand that in order to provide the security services such as the confidentiality and the authentication, you have to establish two security association. That means you have to establish two logical connections. One is from sender to receiver and other one is from receiver to sender. Two different associations should be there in order to have a two-way communication, two-way secured communication. And IKE is a Internet Key Exchange protocol. It also should have a security association which is common for both the sender and the receiver, vice versa. They can use a common line. And IPsec v3 means IP security version 3. This is where we are going to implement this ESP. And regarding this SAD and SPD, this is our point of interest for today's session. So SAD is the Security Association database which has number of entries, different entries, almost around 9 to 10 entries will be there for this SAD. For each and every entry that is present inside this SAD, we have some 9 to 10 parameters that are described in the next coming sessions, and these are used to give the information that is related to every security association. Similarly, SPD stands for, the name itself is giving the idea that security policy database. So we are going to describe, that means that database is going to have some entries which are nothing but the policies. So if a packet arrives what is that you have to do, that is decided by making use of the policy rule. Whether you want to bypass it, or whether you want to protect it, or whether you want to discard it, all these comes under the policies. So the policies are described inside this entry, and whenever you have a packet to be transmitted, that is the outbound message, or whenever you have a packet that is received, inbound message, you can simply have look at this SPD and you can check whether that entry is present in the SPD. If that entry is present in the SPD, you have to check what policy is implemented. Based upon the policy, you are going to take the decision. You means it's not the personal user, it is the system is going to take the decision. That is the importance of this SAD and SPD. Once we know the importance of this SAD and SPD, we will come back again with the entries that are present in the SAD and SPD. But once we are aware of these particular things, let us have a look at the security associations. As I told that this is the key concept that appears both in the authentication and confidentiality mechanisms for IP. And an association is nothing but a one-way logical connection between the sender and a receiver that provides the security services to the traffic carried on it. We have described everything. It's a logical connection between the sender and the receiver, and it is only one way, either to the sender or and the receiver, or from receiver to sender. This is what he is describing. If a peer relationship is needed for two-way secure exchange, then two security associations are required. This is what we have seen in this one. So IPsec security association from sender to receiver, and the IPsec security association from receiver to sender. There should be a pair of the security association to have this secure exchange, two-way exchange. Now let us have a look at these entries that are present inside this security association. These are the entries or the parameters for the security association. We know that a security association is a logical connection between the sender and the receiver, one-way logical connection. So how do you identify a security association? That is done by making use of these three parameters. One is the security parameter index, which is in short we name it as SPI, and the second one is the IP destination address, and the third one is the security protocol identifier. Very simple parameters. As the name itself in this security parameter index indicates that it is going to give some index number. So it is a 32-bit unsigned integer assigned to a particular security association. You can treat it as something like a registration number to a student. So it is used to uniquely identify this security association. So it is nothing but a 32-bit unsigned integer which is assigned to a security association, and it has only local significance, right? So it is specially designed to have identification of the security association within the local network only. So once you go out of the local network, this will not have any effect. And where do we carry this SPI? So I know what this SPI is. It is nothing but an index to identify a security association. But where do you go? Where do you put this SCA? Means the SPI is placed inside the AH or ESP headers. Why we are placing this SPI inside this AH and ESP means once this packet or the ESP packet or the IPsec packet has received at the receiving end, it will simply unwrap that ESP header or AH header, and it will go and check that particular SPI field in order to identify the security association under which the packet will be processed. So every security association will have a different policy. So in order to know what policy we need to implement, in order to know how we have to enforce the policies on the incoming packet, we are going to make use of this SPI that is related to the security association. And the second parameter that is related to this security association is the IP destination address. It's a simple straightforward thing, right? It is a destination address, IP address of the destination system. So this is the address of the destination endpoint of the SCA. This destination endpoint can be, in the last session I told that this endpoint can be a user workstation, or it can be a network end device like the router or firewall. So the IP address of either the user workstation or the network end device such as the router and firewall is placed in this parameter. And the last parameter what we have is the security protocol identifier. This field from the outer IP header includes whether the association is an ESP or AH association. So there are two types of security services which can be provided with two different protocols, that is AH and ESP. Which protocol is used for the security, whether you are using the AH or whether you are using the ESP, that is based on this security protocol identifier. So it will put a number. Based upon that number, the destination system will decide whether it has used the AH or whether it has used the ESP. So these are the three parameters on which the security association is dependent. And once we know what this security association is, let us have a quick and deep discussion on this security association database. So in each and every IPsec implementation, the security association database defines the parameters that are associated with each SCA. And the parameters that are related to each and every security association will be defined by some parameters in an SCD entry. It is a database. Every database will have some entries, and every entry will have some parameters that are related to the security association. So the first parameter is the security parameter index, what we have discussed in the earlier slide. It is a 32-bit value which describes the security association, which gives some information related to the security association. And how this security parameter index is useful means, this is being received at the receiving end, and the SPI is used to uniquely identify the SCA. This was already discussed. So it has the property of identifying the security association uniquely. It differentiates one security association with another security association. So what happens if it is an outbound SCA? SCA means security association, and what happens if it is an inbound SCA? So if it is an outbound SCA, security association, outbound, you should know these terms. Outbound means it is going outside our boundary. For example, let me take, this is my network. If something is thrown from the internal network to outside, so it is going outside the network. Therefore, I call these packets as outbound packets. And if something is coming inside our network, since it is coming inside our boundary, we call such data as inbound data. So if it is an outbound security association, the SPI is used to construct the packets AH and ESP header. So everything is related with AH and ESP. Whenever you want to provide the security services to the packets, you just have to decide upon whether you are going to provide the security based upon the AH or ESP. Once you decide upon it, you have to make different entries like this security parameter index, and this SPI is used to construct the packets AH and ESP. So you just put this SBI in the ESP header packet, that's it, ESP header. And if it is an inbound ESP or inbound security association, the SPI is used to map traffic to the appropriate SCA. So it should understand on what security association this packet has arrived. So number of connections will be there and number of inbound packets will be coming. So every inbound packet will have the SPI. Based upon that SPI, it will decide, oh, this is the SPI related to the security association. So I need to invoke that particular policy. So again I will go to the SPD and I will check the policy. Based upon the policy, I need to process. So this is identified, the identification of the security association is done by this security parameter index. And the second parameter what we have is the sequence number counter. The name itself is saying that you are going to count, you are going to make use of a counter which has the sequence number. So it is also almost useful for identification of the security association, right? So it is a 32-bit value used to generate sequence number field in the AH or ESP header. So how many packets is related to that particular security association? Is it 100 or is it 200? Everything is being counted by this security counter. And this sequence number counter is related to both the implementations. What are those two implementations we have? One is the AH and the second one is the ESP. So both AH and ESP are having these implementations. The sequence number counter can be implemented in both the AH and ESP. You can observe here that some parameters are especially related to the AH and some parameters are especially related to the ESP. But most of the parameters what we discuss right now will be dependent on both the AH as well as the ESP also. And the third parameter is sequence counter overflow. So it is going to decide up to how many packets the security association should be alive, or it is used to decide how many packets we need to transfer via security association. So the sequence counter overflow indicates whether the overflow of sequence number counter is happened or not. If overflow of sequence number counter, for example, let us say that the sequence number counter has a maximum value of 100. So if 100 ESP packets has been sent, IPsec packets has been sent, it will simply, this overflow will be triggered. So the flag will be triggered and it will generate either an auditable event or prevent further transmission of the packets on this SCM. So I told that every security association will have some lifetime, and that is decided by the sequence counter. If the sequence counter is decided as 100, once it reaches the sequence counter as 100, the number of packets or the number of IPsec packets that are transmitted over that security association is 100, then it will simply trigger an event. It is an auditable event, or it will simply discard all the packets from transmission of packets from this particular SCA. It has to generate a new SCA, or it has to request for a new SCA, thereby the further transactions above this 100 IPsec packets can be transmitted over this new security association 2. So for this purpose the sequence counter overflow is used, and as I told that this parameter is also required by both AH and ESP. And the next parameter is the anti-replay window. Here we have a concept called as replaying attack. Replaying attack. The name itself is saying that the attacker is going to take the genuine packets during the transmissions and it is going to replay the same message, or it is going to resend the same message, genuine message itself. So we have a sender here, we have a receiver, we have an attacker here. During the transmission of packets, IP packets from the sender to the receiver, what this attacker will do is he will simply intercept these messages. After some time, the same packet will be replayed or retransmitted to the receiver. So the receiver is already having that packet, and once the replayed packet comes to the receiver, he will get confused, or he will simply assume that something mishappened, something has happened bad. So that is a one type of attack which is called as replay attack. To counterpart this replay attack, the ESP is going to implement a window. We will discuss what this anti-replay attack is and how we are going to counter this replay attacks. All these things we will discuss. So to counter attack this replay attack, we are going to use a concept of windowing. We will take a window and we will have different numbers, and whenever a packet arrives, you will just mark it as OK, and then you move the window to the right hand side. Like that, the windowing concept, sliding window protocol, something similar to that of a sliding window protocol. All these things we will discuss. So the anti-replay window, the size of the window is determined by this anti-replay window, and this is used to determine whether an inbound EH packet or ESP packet is a replay or not. And this is required by both the implementations, that is the AH and ESP. And the next parameter is the AH information. The name itself is giving that it is going to give information related to the authentication header, and this is implemented only for one implementation, that is AH. ESP will not make use of this AH information. So ESP packet will not have this AH information. And what this AH information gives is, it gives all the information related to the authentication algorithms. What are the keys that you are going to use for the authentication? What is the lifetime of every key, and so many related parameters that are being used with this authentication header. Similarly, there is another parameter called as ESP, which is specially related to this ESP. It does not have any connection with the authentication header. Therefore, we are going to implement this ESP information in the ESP implementations only. Similar to that of AH information, it is also going to give what are the various encryption and decryption algorithms that we are going to use in this ESP, what are the authentication algorithms we are going to use, what are the keys, what are the initial values of the keys, and what are the key lifetimes, and all the information, related information to the ESP is given with this ESP information parameter. And after this, the lifetime of the security association. In the previous discussions also we had this thing that I am always keep on saying that every security association will have a lifetime. So once the lifetime is reached, or once the lifetime is over, you have to terminate that security association, or you need to ask or request for the new security association. The lifetime of the security association is decided by this parameter. So it is nothing but a time interval, or it can be a byte count, or it can be a packet count. Anything is possible. You can take the time interval. For example, let me take the lifetime as 10 milliseconds. So after 10 milliseconds, the security association has to be deleted. New association new SA has to be requested. Or if I am taking it as byte count, let us take some 100 bytes. So once the security association transfers this 100 bytes of data over it, it has to be terminated. How we are going to identify this 100 bytes has been transferred? That is based upon the sequence counter and the sequence counter overflow. So these two things decide the lifetime of the security. This particular lifetime just decides how much time interval the security association has to be activated, or it is going to have the life, and the second one decides how many bytes it has to transfer. That's it. It won't give how it is going to count the number of bytes. It is not going to give how it is going to count the time interval. All these things will be taken care by the sequence number counter. So it is a time interval or a byte count or a packet count, after which an SCA, the security association, must be replaced with a new SCA. Right, and it is required for both the implementation, that is the AH as well as the ESP also. And the next parameter is the IPsec protocol mode, very important. In the morning session also I told that the IPsec protocol, we have 3 different modes. We are going to discuss only 2, that is the tunnel mode and the transport mode. We have other thing which is called as the wildcard, which is not our topic of discussion. So we will discuss what this tunnel mode and transport mode is. And this IPsec protocol mode parameter, it simply identifies whether you are going to transmit the data with the tunnel mode or the transport mode. And the last parameter under the security association database is the path MTU. MTU stands for maximum transmission unit. You can simply take an analogy that it is the maximum size of data up to which you can transmit it. After that you have to fragment it. For example, if I take the maximum transmission unit as 100 bytes, and I have 150 bytes of data to be transmitted. Since the maximum transmission unit that is transmitted over this SCA is only 100, whatever data you want to transmit, you divide it into 2 parts. One is the complete MTU, that is maximum transmission unit, that is 100, and the remaining 50 things will be kept with 50 bytes of data as the padding data. So the path MTU describes the maximum transmission unit or the maximum size of the packet that can be transmitted without fragmentation, and it is required for both AH and ESP. So by this you can understand that each and every parameter that we have discussed in the security association database is implemented for both AH as well as the EHP, except AH information and ESP information. AH information is exclusively related to the authentication header, and ESP is exclusive. ESP information is exclusively related to the ESP only. Otherwise everything like the lifetime of the security association, IP protocol mode, path MTU, sequence number counter, anti-replay window, security parameter index, everything is related to both the implementations. So once we are familiar with this security association database, let us move our discussion to the security policy database. So security association database gives a lot of information about the security association. It consists number of parameters, and all those parameters for each and every security association is stored inside the database, and that database we are naming it as the security association database. So we know what are all the parameters we have in the SAD. Now let us move our discussion to the security policy database. Here it is going to tell you the policies of each and every association. Whether you want to discard the packet, whether you want to transmit the packet, whether you want to protect the packet, or whether you want to discard, bypass, like that number of policies are there, and those policies that are related to each and every security association will be placed inside this SPD in the form of an entry. So the SPD contains entries, each of which defines a subset of IP traffic and points to an SCA for the traffic. So what are the policies we have for the traffic that is transmitted over the IP, and what is the security association that is associated with each and every packet of IP? is given in these SPD entries. So these SPD entries are based on the selectors. A selector is nothing but a simple entry that is defined by a set of IP and upper layer protocol fields, which are called as the selectors. So every SPD, the security policy database consists of the following parameters, which are used, or which we can call them as the selectors also. The following selectors to determine an SPD entry. So it's just a change in the terminology, that's it. There we are calling it as the parameters of the SAD, and here we are calling it as the selectors of an SPD. So the selector that are used to determine the SPD entry consists of the first parameter as the remote IP address. The name itself is giving that it is going to specify the IP address of the remote stations. It can be a single IP address, or it can be a group of IP addresses, a list of IP addresses. So if it is a group of IP addresses, if it is a single IP address, this is related to the user workstation, nothing to worry about it. And if it is a group of IP addresses, this is given to support more than one destination system that share the same SA. So you may have 2 or more workstations or n number of workstations that are going to share the same security association. Then we are going to give it as a list of IP addresses. The second selector what we have with this SPD entry is the local IP address. It is also an IP address of the local workstation. So it is also a single IP address which represents a user workstation, or it can be a list or a group of IP addresses. So if it is a group of IP addresses, then we have one or more sources that are sharing the same security association. See, more than one system is sharing the same association, security association, then we will have a group of IP addresses. And the next parameter or the selector is the next layer protocol. The name itself is saying that it is going to give the information that is related to the protocol operating over the IP. So the IP protocol header that designates the protocol operating over IP. Clearly saying this is the IP protocol header, this one, this field represents the IP protocol header, whether it can be from the IPv4 or IPv6, which includes a field inside this IPv4 or IPv6, and that designates the protocol operating over IP. So what are the upper layer protocols, what are the next layer protocols that are going to be used over this IP that is given by this next layer protocol. For example, if AH or ESP is used, then this IP protocol header immediately precedes the AH or ESP header in the packet. So everything you will include inside the header, that's it. If you use AH, that should be included inside this header. If you use ESP, that should be included inside the header. And the next operating protocol on the next layer will be given by this particular field, which is the next layer protocol. And the next selector what we have in this SPD entry is the name. So it is a user identifier from the operating system. So operating system will be giving some names, and this is not the field in the IP or upper layer headers. but it is available in the IPsec and is running on the same operating system as the user. So it is just to check whether the IPsec using the same operating system as the user or not. And last selector what we have is the local and remote ports. So port is a term that is related to the upper layer protocol, that is the transport layer. So what are the local ports on which we are going to send our, or we are going to establish our security association? What are the remote ports over which we are going to send our data for the remote security association or the remote workstation? All these things will be identified by these TCP or UDP port values. This is also similar to that of remote and local. It can be a single port or it can be a list of ports also. So these are the 5 selectors we are having in the SPD database, and we can have the policy which is described as the action. We are having the policies, as I told, that bypass, or else you can also have a policy like protect, or you can also have policy like discard. Like that we have different policies that are described for every association, security association. Based upon this security association or the policy, if it is bypass, we are going to bypass the security processing. We are not going to break our heads on the processing of the security policies. And if it is protect, we are going to bypass here and we are going to implement security here, protect. And discard means simply reject the IP packet or IPsec packet. Like this we have different actions that can be performed by making use or by looking at the entries of the SPD. Once we know about this SAD and SPD, this is all about the IP security policy. What we have discussed, that everything in the IP security will be determined by the interaction of 2 databases. One is the SAD and SPD. So we know about what the security association is, what the security association database is, and what the security policy database is. So we will end up our topic with the IP traffic processing in order to have an idea where we are going to use this SAD and SPD. So whatever IP traffic we have from the sender to receiver or from the receiver to the sender, how it is going to process, how the packets are going to be processed by making use of these SADs and SPDs will be discussed in this particular discussion. So we will have a quick discussion on this, and then we will come to know how these SAD and SPD are useful. So coming back to our IP traffic processing, IPsec is executed on a packet by packet basis. Right? It is not going to take a list of or a bunch of packets and it is not going to process it. Everything you want to process, that should be processed on a packet by packet basis only. You take one packet, process it, and then you take the second packet, process it, you take the third packet, process it. Like that, it is done on a packet by packet basis. And when IPsec is implemented, the outbound packet, I told you about this outbound and inbound. We have a network, any packets that are going out of our network are called as outbound, and any data that is coming into our network are called as inbound packets. So when IPsec is implemented, each outbound packet is processed by the IPsec logic before transmission. So once you select that the policy is protect, you have to implement that protect policy on each and every packet that is going out of our network or that is going out of our boundary. That means you have to process the IPsec logic. before transmitting it from our boundary. So at this point or at this log user station, you can process it. The IPsec processing should be done before transmitting it. And once you are doing with this inbound, every inbound packet is processed for the IPsec logic. After reception, you have to process it, and before transmitting it to the upper layers. So as we know that IPsec is implemented in the network layer or the internet layer. The layer above this network layer is the TCP. So at the receiving end, it goes from bottom to top, and at the sending side, it goes from processing always goes from top to bottom. So at the receiving end, whatever data that we receive in the network layer, that is being processed based upon the IP logic, and that is the remaining data which is left over is to be sent to the upper layer, which is nothing but the transport layer. So the inbound packets are processed for the IPsec logic after reception and before passing the packets to the next higher level, that is the transport layer. So this is the logic we have for the outbound packets, how we are going to process the outbound packets. So this is from top to bottom. So the outbound IP packet from the TCP or the UDP is received at the network layer. So initially what it will do is the IPsec searches the SPD, this one is SPD. Searches for the SPD if there is any match for this incoming packet or not. If there is no match, it can simply discard the packet and an error message is generated. But if there is a match here, if there is no match in the SPD, just simply discard it. If there is a match in the policy, SPD, then it has to decide what policy has to be implemented. For this purpose, it is going to determine the policy. So if a match is found, it is going to determine the policy which is given by the first matching entry in the SPD. So this is a database, it has a lot of entries, and every security association will have, if it is found that this entry is match, then it will go and check the column action. For example, if the action is discard, this one, it will simply discard the packet and the error message is displayed. And the action can be bypass also. If the policy is bypass, then you are going to bypass the security logic. That means you are going to bypass the IPsec logic. So you are just going to transmit the IP packet. It's not the IPsec packet. You are just going to transmit the IP packet. Why? Because the policy that is defined is bypass. So just bypass the security policy and you just transmit the IP packet. And the third case is it can be, the action can be protect. Here comes the IPsec, real IPsec implementation. So if the policy is protect, then you are going to search for the SAD. You go and search the SAD database. If a matching entry is found, based upon that association policies or based upon the entry or the parameters that are present in the SAD, like what is the sequence counter number, what is the sequence counter workflow, SPA, security parameter index, everything will be processed. That we are calling it as process AH or ESP. I told that you can implement either the AH or the ESP, anything is possible. So based upon it, you are going to process the IP packet and you are going to generate the IPsec packet. This is very important. So this is the difference between this and this one. So if the policy determines that you have to bypass the policy bypass the security, you just pass it the IP packet. But if it is a protect policy, you go for the SCAD database and you search for the matching entry. If the matching entry is there, then you have to process it according to that particular entry. And if the policy is protect, but if there is no match in the SCAD, here this case, then you have to implement the IKE. So you just invoke this IKE, and what this IKE is going to do is, it is going to generate the keys. Keys will be generated, and once it is generated, it will make an entry in the SCAD. This is the database. A new entry will be created. This is a new entry. Why this new entry is created means, for further processing of further packets, if there is a match here, they can simply take this from take the values from this entry and they can process it directly. So if no match is found and still the policy is protect, you are going to invoke the internet key exchange, where it is going to generate the keys which is necessary for implementation of this secured IP, and thereby it is going to generate an entry, or it is going to create an entry in the security association database. And final step is, it is going to forward the packet via IP. It can be either the IP packet or the IPsec packet, anything. And let us see here, you can see here that SPD plays very important role to decide whether you want to discard the packet or to decide upon the policy. If it is a discard, you can simply discard the packet. If it is bypass, you can simply send the IP packet. If it is protect, you again go for searching of this SCAD. So the purpose of SCAD and SPD is clear, I think. Similarly, let us see how these inbound packets are processed. This time you have to go from bottom to top. So the inbound packet has been reached from the internet, and you have to decide what packet is this. Is it the IP packet or IPsec packet? So if it is IP packet, nothing has to be done, no security processing has been done, right? So what they will do is, they will simply search the SPD, and if the policy is bypass, just deliver the packet to the higher level, this one. But if it is an IP packet but the security policy is not bypass, you discard that packet. And if the packet that is received is the IPsec packet, you search for the SCAD. If a match is found, you can process that IPsec packet based upon the AH or ESP, whatever entries we have in this SCAD, whatever parameters for that particular entry we have in this SCAD, you can process it based upon. But if the search is not successful, if the match is not found, that means this IPsec is not implemented, but the security association does not have any entry. So if no match is found, you just discard the packet. So this is how the IP processing takes place for the outbound and inbound packets. Here, by this discussion, you can come you can have a new idea on how this SCAD and SPD is being used for transferring the data packets, IP packets from the sender to the receiver, and how it is going to be processed at the sender side and how it is going to be processed at the receiver side. So that's all for today's session. Let us have a quick recap of what we have discussed in today's session. We have started our discussion with the IP security policy, and the major discussion is on the SCAD and the SPD. Only two databases we need to discuss. SCAD stands for the Security Association Database and SPD stands for the Security Policy Database. This is how we have discussed the IPsec architecture. And then we have seen what the security association is, what are the parameters for the security association. Then we have discussed what are the various parameters we have for the security association database, and then we discussed about the selectors of the SPD and what are the selectors that determine the SPD entry. And then we have ended our discussion with a discussion on the processing of IP traffic, how we are going to process the outbound packet and how we are going to process the inbound packet, and how this SAD and SPD are useful in processing the inbound and outbound packets. So that completes the discussion on the complete IP security policy. Thank you one and all. We will join for the next session with a discussion on the ESP, encapsulating security payload. Thank you all.